Hello everyone. Continuing with the disconnection approach, the next concept would be one group CX. That is the disconnection in which we just have to recognize only one functional group to know where we have to disconnect. Now these are generally involved in C single bond O, C single bond S and C single bond N. That is amides, esters, amines, etc. Now, in one group CX, in aromatic compounds are also involved. Therefore, in such a situation, aromatic compounds are cleaved out, and then the systems whereas C single bond N, C single bond S are cleaved away, whereas the benzene ring is simply kept intact and it is removed off. The reactions are ionic in nature and they always involve heteroatoms such as ROH, RNH2 and RSH. The disconnection will give a cationic synthon, that is plus carrying system, and there can be an anionic system which is a good leaving group. So in other words, we can say that there can be substitution kind of reaction in which generally alkyl halides or chlorides can be involved. So for example, if there is a presence of an alkyl halide Rx, we can cleave at R single bond X, that is CX, so where I'll get a anionic system, and also there can be a system which is R, which is going to carry a positive charge. Now in this way, that Y is something related to Br, OTS, etc. Now this is how we can cleave the alkyl halide systems. Carbonyl derivatives can be one of the example in one group CS. Now acid derivatives are easy to disconnect. That is, if there is RCOH, then RCOCl. The Cl can be disconnected. Acid chlorides can be easily disconnected because Cl, Br, I, they are all good leaving groups. Hence, we must always choose a carbonyl group and an heteroatom which is used for the first disconnection. For example, RCOX. Here the cleaving point is CX. We will be cleaving at CX and then we will have this Y as H and then there will be an XH. Now we can say that the same strategy can be followed for an ester system. Now an ester is something like C double bond O. We can cleave at C single bond O, where there is a C single bond O ester group, and then it can be converted to a respective C6H5CH2OH, that is benzyl alcohol, and then there can be an acid chloride which can be utilized for the synthesis. This is an example for a benzoyl ester synthesis. We can see that there is a designed synthesis for ester. Now the designed synthesis goes something like this. There will be an acid chloride or an anhydride. In the presence of pyridine as the catalyst, we can synthesize an ester. Now for example, an benzyl alcohol reacts with benzoyl chloride in the presence of pyridine to give me a benzoyl ester. So this is how an acid chloride, which is an aryl chloride, reacts with an alcohol or a system like C6H5CH2CH in the presence of pyridine. Pyridine helps in abstraction of this proton and we get a benzoyl ester. In the same way, alcohols, ether, alkyl halides and sulfides could be observed. Now for example, if there is Rx, we can cleave at R single bond X, where I'll get an X with a negative charge and R carrying a positive charge. Now this will be an electrophilic carbon and my XH will be something like a nucleophile. This is true in terms of tosyl group, your methane sulfonate group, in which ROTS, now it is the cleaving point is, OTS is a good leaving group and hence this is the cleaving point. ROTS is a cleaving point where R is going to carry a positive charge and OTS is going to carry a negative charge. It is going to act as a nucleophile. ROMS, that is mesylate system. Again, R is going to carry a positive charge and mesylate system is going to carry a negative charge. So methane sulfonate is one of the example. Utilizing alcohols, we can see various types of systems which can be synthesized. Now if I add an tosyl chloride to alcohol, I will get a tosylate. If I add mesytyl chloride, I will get a methane sulfonate. If I add HBr to an ROH, I will be getting RBr, that is an alkyl halide. Now, aliphatic compounds can be derived from alcohols. Now, alcohols can be converted to the respective alkyl halides and vice versa respectively by either acting X as acting as a good leaving group and OH acting as a good leaving group respectively. When this Rx, that is an alkyl halide, is utilized, we can say that when it reacts with an alcohol in the presence of a base, we get an ether. If it reacts with a thiol system in the presence of the base, we'll get sulfide system. We can also get a sulfide system when it reacts with NH2 twice CS, that is diammonium carbon sulfide system in the presence of again basic system. It is again going to give me a thiol system. Now, alkyl halides can be synthesized, nucleophiles can be synthesized, where other derivatives. Now, these nucleophiles can carry other derivatives. Now, ethers and sulfides can also be synthesized by 1,1-DIX. Now, for example, if this is an ether, this is an example for an ether. We'll be cleaving at this point, that is C single bond O, which is an ether. We can cleave out and then we can join it to a good leaving group like MEY. Now the reactive side is this particular C single bond ether. I will be not touching the aromatic system. Instead, what we will be doing is just cleaving at the point of C single bond O. Now the reactive side is methyl by SN2 reaction, whereas the unreactive side would be the benzene, which is ether. Now the design synthesis is something like this. When we paracresol in the presence of dimethyl sulfate in the presence of base abstract this proton and then there will be a methylation. So this is how a design synthesis can be done. We can say the same can be followed for the sulfide system. When there is a substituted sulfide, we can cleave at S single bond R dash, so that now sulfide is going to carry a negative charge and this R dash Y is going to carry a positive charge, and then it can act as a good leaving group also. Now for example, for this system would be a chlorobenzide, which we have already discussed. Now these systems that we have discussed, they fall under 1,1-DIX. There would be other systems which fall under 2-group CS disconnection. Now in this particular system, 2 groups disconnection means that one functional group is utilized so that it will help to disconnect the other functional group elsewhere in the molecule, and such a system is called as 2-group disconnections. Now these are more efficient than 1-group disconnections. Now these are like 1,1 difunctionalized compounds. Now these compounds can be either in terms of an oxygen system. Generally we see them in terms of an oxygen system. For example, can be an acetals or ketals. In this acetals and ketals, oxygen is being used so that it can disconnect the other group in the same molecule. This can be seen in this particular example. This is an acetal system. When this lone pair of electrons travel towards the C single bond O, it is going to cleave the other OMe so that the double bond OMe remains, and finally it can be disconnected. I get a carbonyl carbon and I get a methanol. So in turn the synthesis would be carbonyl carbon reacts with 2 molecules of methanol system to give me an acetal system. So I am utilizing one lone pair of electrons so that I can cleave the other group in the system, and then hence it is called as 1,1 difunctionalized compounds, which can be utilized to remove one group with the help of the other group in the same molecule. Now this is also called as 1,1-DIX. This particular operation is also called as 1,1-DIX because C single bond O bonds can be disconnected. 1,1 dash, both functional groups are attached to the same carbon. Now we can see that here the functional groups are attached to the same carbon, and hence we can see that 1,1-DIX, that is an acetyl, it is going to give me a carbonyl carbon like an aldehyde and 2 moles of methanol. Here also lone pair of electrons travels so that the other group gets disconnected, and then through 1,1-DIX the acetyl is cleaved. I get a carbonyl carbon and 2 moles of methanol. The synthesis can be something like this. an aldehyde reacts with 2 moles of alcohol, that is methyl alcohol, in the presence of proton or a protonic environment to give me the target molecule, which is my acetyl system. This is commonly observed in the acetyl systems where oxygens are involved. Now here the common observation is X and Y are something like OMe, OET. Lone pair of electrons from X travels and the Y is cleaved out, so that X and HY is relieved and I get a carbonyl carbon. So if one heteroatom is present as an OH group, then only one nucleophile is involved, and the molecules such as cyanohydrin can also be synthesized from carbonyl carbon and HCl. Now this is also true. One of the systems should be an OH, so that, or an OMe, like we have observed in the previous system, either it should be an OMe or it should be an OH, so that the lone pair of electrons on the oxygen can be utilized. They travel and they cleave the next group, in turn giving me a carbonyl carbon and Cn minus. Cn minus is a nucleophile. We get a carbonyl carbon and an HCN. So the back reaction is something like this. A aldehyde or a ketone reacts in the presence of Cn, and then I get a cyanohydrin. Now the disconnection is because there is a presence of an OH system. Lone pair of electrons in the molecule cleaves the Cn, so that we get a carbonyl carbon, and Cn minus is a nucleophile. The complete reaction would be utilization of a carbonyl carbon in the presence of HCN to give me my target molecule. This is one type of synthesis. If the leaving group is not attached to the same carbon atom, then we can say that there is a presence of OH. No doubt there is a presence of lone pair of electrons. It can allow to cleave. But before that, this NH2 is far away from the OH. So what we have to do is, this NH2 should be converted in such a way that this will come nearer to the OH and it will get attached to the same carbon atom. So what they will do is, they will now convert this NH2 to Cn. Now Cn, when it is hydrolyzed, it gets converted to CH to NH2. So under functional group interconversion, the NH2 is converted to Cn. Now again 1,1-Dix is performed, so that lone pair of electrons that travels and the Cn gets cleaved, and we get a carbonyl carbon and an HCN. So the proper synthesis would be, cyclohexanone system reacts with KCN in the presence of protonic environment. Now Cn minus attacks the carbonyl carbon, so that there is an introduction of the Cn. Now this Cn in the presence of hydrogen and PtO2, that is platinum oxide, gets converted to CH to NH2. It gets reduced to C triple bond N gets reduced to CH to NH2, which is my target molecule. In such a systems where the Cn or the system is not directly attached to the carbon, we first do functional group interconversion, so that the group now gets directly attached to the carbon, and then further we do 1,1-Dix, so that in the final synthesis we get the target molecule. Hello everyone. So let us continue with chemoselectivity. Chemoselectivity is nothing but a reaction in which one functional group within a molecule reacts leaving other potentially reactive functional groups unaltered, and it is called as a chemoselective reaction, and such a reaction is called as chemoselectivity. Now we have already seen the chemoselective reagents like sodium borohydride, lithium aluminum hydride, so on and so forth. We have also seen that if there is a functional group within a molecule which reacts the other group potentially reactive unaltered system, then we call it to be a system called as chemoselective. Now there will be certain guidelines for chemoselective. The first guideline will be, when two functional groups of unequal reactivity are present in a molecule, the more reactive can always be made to react alone. So what we can do is, one reactive system can be allowed to react, the other reactive system can be left away for the non-reaction. When a molecule contains two or more reactive groups, we want to react one of them but not the other. Then what happens is, the chemoselectivity problem actually arises. That is, we want to product one group and we want to react the other group, then the chemoselectivity problem occurs. Now let us take an example of this target molecule. Now in this target molecule, there is an ether linkage which is linked to the benzene system as well as a cyclohexane system. We can cleave at a system which is C single bond O, that is the bond which is associated with oxygen can be cleaved, and I get an OH. I'll get a carboxylic group with an OH. So I'll be getting para-hydroxybenzoic acid. Plus I can get an cyclohexane, that is iodocyclohexane system. Iodine is a good leaving group, and hence we can use this. So in the synthesis would go something like this: para-hydroxybenzoic acid in the presence of alkali, it will abstract the proton, and then these two protons will be abstracted. That is, your carboxylic group proton also will be abstracted, and the OH group proton also will be abstracted. Further, when there is a hydrolysis and there is an attack of this cyclohexane system, what is going to happen is there is a loss of HI system, so that we get an ether and we get the target molecule. So here what we are doing is we are selectively reacting only one group, that is OH, and we are protecting the other group. We are not allowing the other carboxylic group to react, so that we end up with the target molecule. So in this particular example, we understand that we want to just react the OH system and we do not want to react the carboxylic system. So this is the method that we follow for this particular guideline. The second guideline is when one functional group can react twice, the starting material and the first product will compete for the product. The reaction will be successful only if the first product is less reactive than the starting material. So whenever we are trying to do a disconnection approach, when we try to get a synthon system here, so what we should do is whatever is the first product, it should be less reactive, and then only it is comparable with my starting material. That is, when I compare with my first synthon with the starting material, it should be less reactive. Further, it should give me a proper final product. So let us see an example of benzoyl chloride. Now we can see that I can also cleave a system like this. It is a ether linkage cleavage. At an heteroatom I am trying to cleave. This is going to give me PHCH2OH, that is benzyl alcohol, and a phosgene. So the synthetic equivalence that I'll be getting is benzyl alcohol and a phosgene system. The target molecule synthesized succeeds since it is less reactive, because now this benzyl alcohol is less reactive than that of my benzoyl chloride, and hence whatever standards that I'll be picking up for the synthesis, it will be successful, because my PHCH2OH is less reactive compared to that of my benzoyl chloride. And hence, because of the stabilization with conjugation of the oxygen, now we can see that PHCH2OH oxygen is present and there is a stabilization in the benzene ring, and this stabilization helps telling us that this is less reactive than that my target molecule, and in turn I can synthesize this particular molecule. So the synthesis goes like this: benzyl alcohol in the reaction, in the presence of phosgene, it is going to give me benzoyl chloride. Here benzoyl chloride is more reactive than that of my benzyl alcohol. So the second guideline says that whichever synthon we want to look into, the synthon which I try to synthesize should be less reactive than that of my target molecule. We can also see that protection or deprotection can also be utilized. For example, in the synthesis of certain peptide synthesis, we have seen that we could protect the NH2 by TBAC system. We could protect the NH2 by NHCOCH3 analyte system. So such protection and deprotection could also be done, so that there will be chemoselectivity could be avoided. If there are presence of two amino acid system and one amino acid system NH should be intact, then what we do is we try to protect the NH2 system over there in the subsequent synthesis of peptide synthesis. So protection and build protection can also be utilized by TBAC system, TBOX system can be utilized, so that NH2 gets protected. So that is also one of the criteria for chemoselectivity. One of the two identical groups may react if the product is less reactive than the starting material. That is, now if I look into a certain system, that is, if there are two identical groups present, then whichever is less reactive can be taken up, so that we can go to the starting material. So what we can see, if it is a metadinitrobenzene, now for example let us take metadinitrobenzene, it reacts with sodium hydrogen sulfide. Now in this, only one NO2 group gets reduced to NH2 in the presence of methanol. So what happens here is there is a reduction, that is acceptance of electron. So when I make use of a chemoselective reagent like sodium hydrogen sulfide, only one of the NO2 gets reduced to NH2. So even I can say that if I have a proper chemoselective reagent, only one functional group can react to give me the final product. Now the product has only one electron withdrawing group, therefore it is reduced slowly. Now further, if I want to reduce this system, that is metanitroaniline, if I want to reduce this system, only one electron withdrawing system is present, that is NO2 system. Its reduction is going to take time, whereas when I have done dinitrobenzene system, its reduction is faster because there are two electron withdrawing system. So if I make use of a proper chemoselective reagent, only one group could be reacted and the other group remains intact. The next guideline, one of the two identical functional groups may react with one equivalent of the reagent using the statistical effect. Now I can say that this is my target molecule. There is a diol system in the presence of sodium and xylene. So I will now look that sodium is mole to mole in the presence of the xylene. Only one proton can be abstracted over here and the other OH is remaining intact. Now let us see an example. This is a diol system. Now both the diols are equivalent. If I add a sodium in the presence of xylene, what is going to happen is one of the proton will be abstracted. Sodium in the presence of xylene, only one proton will be abstracted, the other OH remains intact. In turn, if I add an ETBr, now I am going to just get a monoalkylation of the system. I will not get a dialkylation because I will be doing a statistical effect. That means adding a mole to mole reaction, that is only one proton could be abstracted. So in monoalkylation of the systems of the diol system, such guidelines can be used. Only mole to mole reactions can be done, one proton can be abstracted and further monoalkylation can be achieved. The next guideline says that two identical functional groups is used to a derivative which can react only once. Now for example, if I have got a dicarboxylic acid like this, a dicarboxylic acid, this is going to give me a cyclic anhydride. Now I can say 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it is a butanoic type of acid which is a dicarboxylic acid. It can react only once by the loss of a water molecule to give me a cyclic anhydride. Now if I want to do a system like only one carboxylic group could be reacted and the other carboxylic group should not react, then I'll never end up in cyclic anhydride system. Now for example, if this is my starting material, that is a dicarboxylic acid, it will react with a methanol system, that is I'll be getting in half ester. It will react with a thionyl chloride to give me an half chloride system, but this is never going to give me a cyclic anhydride system. So if there are two identical functional groups, then the derivative can actually react only once. This is also true in the other words. If I make use of a dicarboxylic acid, I have already synthesized a cyclic anhydride. Now with this cyclic anhydride reacts with methanol. Now this methanol is not going to react with two carboxylic system, though there is a cleavage of this anhydride system to get me a dicarboxylic system, but only one carboxylic system is going to react so that I get a half ester. Further, I cannot react a methanol system to get a diester system here. In fact, now I can react this other carboxylic system into thionyl chloride so that I get a half chloride system. So if there are two identical functional groups, then the functional group can only react once. They cannot react twice. So that is the next guideline for the chemoselectivity. So when the anhydride has combined once with a nucleophile to give half ester, the product is no longer reactive. That means this half ester is no longer reactive. Further, the reaction can maintain the distinction and hence I cannot continue reacting it with methanol. So this is a classic example to say that once a cyclic anhydride is synthesized, I can get a half ester because there will be no longer reactivity remaining, and further I can just convert it into half chloride, but I cannot convert it into a diester system. The last guideline says that when two groups are nearly but not quite identical, such attempts should be avoided. Now for the example, this diol system in the presence of base and methyl iodide. Now both the OH systems, they are not going to follow any statistical systems. That is, however I add mole to mole reaction, both the protons shall be abstracted, because base we have not mentioned. Base can be any NaOH, it can be KOH. Now I will never be able to get a monoalkylated system here. I will definitely be getting a dialkylated system. So such attempts are always avoided in terms of chemoselectivity problem. Now for example, this diol system, in the presence of base and methyl iodide, I will never get a monoalkylated system. I will always get a dialkylated system, because both the proton system, in the presence of a general base, if the base is not a specific base, it is going to abstract both the protons. In turn, it is not going to give me a monoalkylated series. Instead, it is going to always give me a dialkylated series. So such attempts are generally avoided in general chemoselectivity problems.